you guys out here, so welcome everybody, and I hope you have a really good day. I'm really proud to say that I'm on one of 300 Australia Day ambassadors travelling around the country today, all sharing our voice to make this a great day for everyone. And I think the reason why they asked me to come out and talk today is because what I've completed in sport. I've been representing Australia for the last 10 years at para sport, but I think it's my unwavering nature to not give in. But I really think that's probably the Aussie in me. It's the Australian way. Like, we all have that feeling of not giving in. But my story is, like, when I was a kid, I always had this dream, and that was to be two things. One was to be a mechanic, which I am, and the other one was to be an athlete. And when I was 18 years old, I had a tumour in my spinal cord, and it crushed all the nerves to my legs. So I can walk, but I can't run, I can't jump. And at 19, I had that tumour removed. And I thought, how am I going to become an athlete? You know, I can't run anymore, I can't jump, I can't do anything. I can walk, these little legs of mine hold me up, but that's about it. So for the next 25 years, I had these thoughts in the back of my head. I want to be an athlete, but I just didn't know how to do it. But along the way, I met my beautiful wife, Vicky, and we were married, and we have two beautiful children. My daughter, Taylor, she's 23, and my son, Adam, who is 19. But I always had this thought in the back of my head, how am I going to be an athlete? And it wasn't until one day I was in a workshop, and I was just having a chat with my mate Reggie, and Reg just said to me out of the blue, have you ever thought of being a para-athlete? And I thought, mate, I'm not a para, my conception of being a disabled person was someone in a wheelchair or someone who was an amputee or something like that. And he said, mate, you're a fool. You can't even walk properly. So
Good
you
on
are
you, Reggie.
disabled. So anyway, so we contacted Sporting Wheelies in Brisbane, and this is at the age of 44 I did this. And I asked them, how do I get into sport? And they said, just so happens that we've got what they call a talent search day the following weekend at Palm Beach High School, which is one of the local high schools where I come from. So I went down there, and they had all these things where you had to do as an athlete to try out. So one of them I remember was you had to do this vertical jump. Like, this is my vertical jump. That's it. And the other one was a horizontal jump, and I can't do that. But the other one I went well at was where they sit you on the floor with your back against the wall, and you had this basketball, and you had to just throw it like that. And I remember the coach, she was probably about 8 meters away, measuring the distance of everybody that threw the basketball. And I threw the basketball clean overhead right across the other side of the basketball court. And she goes, oh my God, you've got really good upper body explosive strength. And I went, oh, thank you. So she suggested, do you want to try out for powerlifting? And I went, what's that? And she goes, it's with athletes or people with men and women with lower limb disabilities. They lay them down on a big long bench, strap across their legs, and then they just bench press whatever they can lift. I thought, yeah, I love weightlifting, so I had to go. So Sporting Wheelies Gym, got in contact with them, and I actually went up and met the head coach, the Australian coach. He trained out of Sporting Wheelies Gym in Brisbane, and the assistant coach and a couple of the other athletes. And I thought, I'm going to have a go at this. And I had to go the first day, and that was in 2008, December 2008. And the head coach looked at me and he said, mate, I think you're a bit old. Like, I'm 44 and I'm trying to learn how to be an athlete. But the assistant coach come to my rescue, Bill, and he said, mate, I'll take you on. So Bill took me on, wrote me a program, and I thought, this is the chance that I've been looking for 25 years to fulfill my dream. So I trained really hard, like a 20-year-old. And 3 months later, we had my first competition, and I lifted enough weight to actually qualify me for the Australian team. And that's when it all hit me how hard, how, long sometimes dreams take to come to true. So I've been blessed for the last 10 years. I've competed for Australia, travelled the world. I've been to 3 Commonwealth Games and I hold quite a few records, Australia and international records. And the cool thing about travelling around the world is that you get to immerse yourself in other cultures and you get to live with other people around the world and you see how everyone lives. I come to the conclusion that we are the lucky country. This is the best place in the world. But it's not just the land that we live on is the best place, it's you guys. It's us, it's everyone. It's the people in Australia that make Australia great. Sorry, this gets a bit emotional. I'm thinking about how hard this was, but the journey's been a great journey. I had to retire from parasport at the Com Games in Gold Coast, which is probably one of my it's a beloved thing. My mum and dad come and watch me compete, which they've never been able to watch me compete. They're in their late 70s. So my mum and dad, my wife and kids and my family and my gym guys and my gym buddies, all of my local support come to the Gold Coast and watch me compete my last compete. But one of the coolest things was I had my coach Bill with me. Bill, he's actually another Australian Day ambassador at another town. And he strapped me down on the bench, and then on my last lift we got up and we acknowledged the crowd, and both of us had tears in our eyes because that was the last time we'll ever compete together again. We travelled the world together for 10 years, so we have a close bond. But I always think when I go overseas and I come back, I remember always looking at the map in the plane as you're flying close to Australia. And every time I used to cross the water to get to Australia, and I'd look down out the window and I'd see water, then I'd see Australia. And it always gave me this feeling of, thank God I'm home. I'm still probably 3,000 kilometres from where I actually live, but I'm home. And that's what I think Australia means to me. I hope it means everything to you guys. This is our home. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful.